In this video, we have the brand new Redcat Ascent. This thing is being touted right now as potentially one of the best RC crawlers ever from a ready to run. We're going to get it out of the box. We're going to do a first test. We're going to see just how good is this truck. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing and crawling and drifting and racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos, and I am overly excited to get this thing out of the box and check it out. So let's do that. So here's all what you get with it. It starts with this newer Redcat design controller. It is something different than what they used to supply with their ready-to-run vehicles. Has all the normal buttons that you would need up here on the front, on the top. It actually has one little handy feature here. It has a spare door. And at first I was like, what the heck is this thing for back here? Here's where the batteries go. You need to supply your own AA batteries. This is a tool and spare parts holder. So they give you a little part hollowed out in the handle here where you can stick a couple wrenches and stuff. That's pretty trick, actually. So the controller itself, it does have one feature when you look through the manual. You can actually put it into a beginner mode where it reduces the power output by holding this button and holding the steering one way as you turn it on. You can actually do that. I won't be using that for what we're going to do, but it's cool that they offer kind of a very simple trick to reduce the power output if you're handing it off to a kid. It does come with a bunch of stickers, so it looks like they provided us with some stickers that we could put on the bead rings there. Some different Redcat stickers, some different stripes and all that you can put on the vehicle, along with some other, arch coverings and things like that you can put on it. I was a little surprised at first when I saw this. It's a quick start guide. It's not a full manual, and it's only 4 pages. And I was like, oh my gosh, where is my manual? Well, your manual's right here with this QR code. And so that way you can always be pulling up the latest and greatest manual instead of referring to an old printed out copy. And that does give you a full in-depth, it's 20, 30 something pages where you can actually get the full manual for the vehicle. And then this, which is actually really interesting. So these are the optional underdrive gears for the rear axle here. It goes into the transfer case and changes the speed ratio going to the rear end of the vehicle. They provide you with them. But this is what you really want to see. You want to see this truck. And can I just say, that really looks good. Oh my, really? A lot of people are going with the blue body. I have the red body. I love the paint job here. This truck looks so good. The color that they picked is absolutely spot on. Yeah, the blue body seems like it might be just a touch narrower, like it's maybe pinched in a little bit more, but I'll be honest, this thing looks awesome. One of the first things that stands out to me is these new tires that they've designed for this truck. I mean, this is a very soft rubber compound. The pattern looks great. I have to guess that these things are going to do very well even in stock form. Of course, everybody has their own favorite tires for their own surface and the where they drive on, but I am really interested to see just how good these are. They are incredibly soft. The pattern looks great. It just looks amazing. These are plastic and it looks like glued on wheels here. So if most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to upgrade this to an aluminum bead lock. So you will have to use a heat gun or some acetone to get the tire off the wheel, but I'm really curious to see how good these tires are. One thing that folks, I saw a couple of people online asking about is the overhang here. So on the front and the rear, there is practically zero overhang. Fisheye lens might make it a little bit harder to see, but I mean, if I was looking at it, it looks like the tire and the bumper are almost identical as far as distance sticking out, both front and rear. So you don't have some big nasty bumper sticking out to hurt your approach or departure angles. The body is tucked in really super nice here on both sides. You do not have any mirrors. You don't have any other plastic accessories like door handles or anything. I imagine some folks will be coming out with some accessory add-ons, 3D printed parts maybe for that. We have the nice drop bed in here, and we have the 2 body clips back here, and it says, well, wait a second, if there's 2 there, where are they on the front? Pull the when you pull the body clips out, it is actually a hinged body setup that we have here. Loving this. It is really, 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 really nice. One thing I did notice is, as I've messed with this truck a little bit, I noticed this little dimple right here. The body is so low, which is a really, really good thing, that it's actually rubbing on the upper shock mounts right here. So what I'm going to do is take some tape, and I'm actually going to put some tape across underneath the hood there, and then that way it gives that a wear surface to help protect that beautiful paint job. Now I do want to check out underneath the body, and yes, it does have the nice tilt mechanism here, but one thing, once you have the rear off, you can actually push it forward, and that whole tilt mechanism just pops right off. Works like a champ. And now we get to see more underneath itself. It does have a very strong, one of the new Hexfly, I think they said it's 35 kg servos in it. This is something that I would literally be putting in this as an upgrade, and it's in it from the factory. We have standard Hexfly brushed ESC going to a 42 turn 550 brushed motor. So big can, 42 turn, should have all the torque in the world. I typically like to run stuff a little bit lower turn than that to get a little more wheel speed. But again, I think one of the things that most people do anymore in today's day and age is they will replace this factory brushed setup with a 2-in-1 like hobby wing unit. And if this is already 550 and you look at all this space over here, plenty of room in order to get one of those in there. No issues with that whatsoever. Once you've done that, then this ESC goes away, and then that frees up the whole opportunity to put a small 3S LiPo right up here in the front of the truck. That should be really good for battery balance. We'll just have to watch to make sure that this spur gear just doesn't eat it as it goes through there. You'll notice the spur gear is here. It has a divorced drive shaft that comes down here to the transfer case itself. This is where you can pop this thing open, and with these provided extra gears, you can actually change the gear ratio front to rear. Now, I tested it off camera. I tested this and confirmed that from the factory it is a 1-to-1 gear ratio. There is no bias in it at all. Factory battery mount is back here on the back side. That is not typically where I will ever want to run my batteries. I will be pulling this off quite quickly and either running the battery over here on the side until I can get something up here in the front, or going ahead and actually putting in like a 2-in-1 unit up here to get the battery into that side. You'll notice these standoffs here. I believe these are for the other body style where it's actually a 2-piece body. So honestly, if I wanted to continue to fit my batteries here, I'm pretty sure I could cut this whole thing off in order to create a space there for it. Other very unique feature that you will see on here for a ready to run is this shock design. It kind of replicates the old Mini B, Mini T shock upgrades that a lot of people do, where they put those kind of springs down here on the shock. So it looks like they have replicated that with this beautiful, nice aluminum shock body. So there should be a number of springs out there that you can use in order to help tweak the whole overall design of the truck. But honestly, these factory shocks feel really good, and I don't know if I will see a reason why I would change the spring rate. Now, I'm a big fan of the factory body, but if you do want to run a different one, you are using Redcat's standard body mounts here, front and rear, and this spare bag does come with spare body mounts, so you can actually use those here in order to mount front and rear and put a whole different body on this if you want to. When we transition to the underside, this under here looks very familiar. This is all Redcat Gen 9, which means there's already a bunch of parts out there for it. There's folks that offer overdrive gears, there's folks that offer brass portal covers and everything, brass center diff covers. All of that is out there. Now, one thing I'm going to look at and see, I need to measure these links and see how long they are. You notice that these rear links are just a straight link. It might be nice to actually get a high clearance link in here in the rear just to get a little bit extra clearance when going up and over some of those rocks. But otherwise, everything down here, nice smooth skid plate, these really nicely shaped side skids should do absolutely wonderful on this truck. Now, enough talking about it, let's get out there and test drive it. I'm going to be running it in both my backyard crawler course plus my front yard rock wall to see just how good is this thing straight out of the box. For the test run, we're going to be using this 3S 3000 milliamp Ovonic battery. It has worked really, really well for me in lots of different crawling scenarios. thing's really, really good. Like, I'm flabbergasted how good this is. So that was all in the backyard course. I'm going to head out to the front yard now with a rock wall, and I'm going to see what it does there on some of the more, like we have some really challenging stuff up there. I'm going to see what it does. I'm still out here actually at the rocks because, I'll be honest, this thing staggered me. You just saw it go up the impossible wall in absolutely stock form. Like, it takes modified trucks to be able to go up that. I'll be honest. I've seen full-on comp rigs take a couple shots to get up it. And this thing, for whatever reason, just went up it. No brass on the front. Nothing done to it, not different tires, not aluminum wheels, no weighted wheels or any shenanigans like that that people pull. This thing out of the box, the battery's even in the rear. Like, that doesn't even make any sense, and the battery's still in the rear. Two things most notable on it that would be a critique from me is the front tires do hit the body right here pretty heavy. So I am definitely going to come in here and I'm going to probably cut this body all the way back to the start of this skid up here in order to create clearance so that that tire doesn't hit there all the time. And the second part is that downhill throttle modulation's really kind of poor with this ESC that's in here. It seems like uphill is fine, but for whatever reason, downhill, it needs a lot of throttle to get going, and then once it does get going, it's moving a little bit too fast for like that smooth modulated downhill that you'd really, really want. But the truth is, how many people are going to leave this brushed stock anyway? I mean, it runs 3S stock, which is awesome. Really, really do like that. But most people aren't going to leave the brush system in here. The Hobby Wing 2-in-1, the Fusion SE is like $70, $80 now. Like, it's hard to just not put one of those in absolutely every crawler ever. And so it's probably what I will do. And when I do that, it'll free some space up from the front where that ESC is. Maybe I could stick a small little 3S LiPo up there, help with the kind of weight balance. Speaking of weight balance, let's go get this on the scale and see what it weighs as it sits with my Ovonic 3000 milliamp 3S in it. So here's the weight with my Ovonic 3000 milliamp 3S battery in the factory location back here. 57% front, 43% rear, total weight to 2,600 grams. So that's a decent weight balance front to rear out of the box, but I'll be very curious if I can get that battery moved up to the front, eliminate that rear mount, maybe put some brass on the front. We should be able to really, really change that weight balance and get even more of that weight over there on the front. Final thoughts, having run this thing, tested it, gone over it, all that. He's really good. It's really, really surprisingly good. The truck, the clearance angles that you have on the front, the ability to just get straight up on top of anything that you want to get, ability to come down off, the shape coming in here on the sides means no hanging up on anything. It did just staggeringly well, and I would say there's going to be a few things that I'm going to want to do to it. So like I mentioned earlier, take the rear battery, move it to the front, probably going brushless. I didn't necessarily like the throttle modulation. I could try to recalibrate the ESC to the remote and see if that changes it a little bit, but I think the first thing that I would do is probably go brushless. I'd probably go a little bit higher KV or a lower turn in order to get a little bit more wheel speed. That's how I personally like my crawlers. I'm probably going to go ahead and throw some brass. I know Trio makes a whole bunch of stuff. A couple other companies, I believe, make a whole bunch of parts for the front of the Gen 9 that will bolt directly on here. Probably going to go ahead and grab some of that in order to help that front to rear weight bias. I'm also going to probably get rid of these white plastic bead locks, which is kind of unfortunate. I kind of like the white. I didn't think I would, if I'm honest. Didn't think I'd like it, but I'm going to look to see what's out there, see what I want to go with, and we'll probably pick up something different to go from a beadlock standpoint. But from a tires, I think I'm going to keep running these tires and see just how good they are. I'm going to do probably a head-to-head comparison versus maybe like the Proline Trenchers. Those tend to be one of my favorites. So test this versus the Trenchers, see how those do. I'm also really, really curious to test this truck versus the Element Ecto. For a year plus now, I've been continuing to say that the Element Ecto is the best out-of-the-box crawler that you can get. And as of today, I'm sitting here wondering, I might be wrong now. This might legitimately be the best ready-to-run crawler that you can possibly buy. And so I'm going to have to test them. I'm going to have to test them head-to-head. My Ecto has a few modifications done to it. It's got some overdrive, underdrive in it. It's got different tires and wheels on it. It's got a little bit of brass on it. So I'm going to modify this one similar. We're going to put them head-to-head and see who truly comes out as the champ. Now that I've shown you driving this truck, given you my thoughts and impressions, what do you think about it? Leave me notes down in the comments, any questions or thoughts that you have. And I'm going to be starting a Redcat Ascent playlist over here to your right. So as more videos come in, it will pop up in that playlist over there. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.